Welcome back to Wearing History. Today's vintage sewing lesson is going to teach you how to make thread loops for buttons. This is a technique that's used all throughout history, all the way up until current times. In this particular pattern, it has a thread loop hidden underneath the high neck collar and a small button to attach. I'm going off of vintage 1950s instructions. However, this particular technique is something I learned in theater, so we are deviating from the original instructions a little bit. You need a hand sewing needle and you need a thread cut to double length. I need to wax it, so you want the two threads to stick together as snugly as they can. It acts as one thread after it's waxed. You're going to go in through the facing, but not through the outside. Go right up to the folded edge of your neckline. You can also use this for belts, so you could do it at the waist. You're then going to do a loop and make a knot like you would when you're finishing your work. I do 2 to 3, sometimes even more. This knot is really going to anchor your work in place, so you want it to be strong. Add extra knots if you think you're going to need them. If you get a little knot, go up through the bottom. That'll help you to straighten out your loop. When you get ready to do your work, you're going to make a large loop on one side to which you can hold out with your fingers to make a big O like this. Then you're going to take your two fingers and pinch the remaining edge of the thread and pull it through the loop. It's then going to rest tightly up against the edge. Again, through the loop, pinch, and pull the knot down. Through the loop, pinch, pull the knot down. Through the loop, pinch, pull the knot down. You keep doing this as long as you need for your button to be able to go through. Going slow again so you can see. You get used to it so your fingers will behave on their own. The first try is a little bit tricky. This is a little bit more like macrame than it is like anything else probably. But this is a really quick technique to get a thread loop. Lay your thread down there and test the length. Mine looks a little too short, so I'm going to keep going. This is the speed that I usually do it at when I'm not demonstrating. Then lay your thread down again. It looks like it's okay. So you're going to insert your needle right on the edge, pinching the edge of the fabric, and draw it through the loop like you would be making a knot at the end of your work when you're hand sewing. Through, and then through the loop, being tricky not to get any twists. And then finish that off the same way you started, with several little knots. Then you can put your needle through, go out the back side of your work, and then snip it off with your little snips. Now, since this is for a collar, I'm going to overlap it so it meets its center front, and then I'm going to test where I want my placement of my button to be. I'm going in and out quickly with a little thread mark right there, being careful not to catch the thread loop. Then you can snip it with your nips, and that's it marked. Now test your buttons. You might want to do this before anything else. That one's a little too big, so I grabbed another one that was a little bit smaller. Then you're going to put your button right where your thread mark is. You want the center of the button to be right where the thread is. Stitch your little button into place. Usually these don't take a whole lot of wear and tear, but if you're hard on your clothes, do a little extra. And then knot it off like you normally would. I go around the outside of my button so it creates a little shaft. And that's it. And when it's finished, you can test it by making sure it goes in and out and it doesn't pull. And this is what it looks like when it's done. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You can use these thread loops for belts, for any sort of thing where you need a little bit of support, but you don't want a full-on button holder. Thank you so much for watching. You can grab this pattern at wearinghistory.clothing. This is the Harriet blouse. Wearing History on Etsy, and I have free fashion history lessons on wearinghistoryblog.com. Thanks for watching.